Um, so Ben, do we have an issue with maybe starting at the other end and work towards the railroad, and by the time we get the railroad, everything will be straightened out?
I think that's definitely a possibility. And it's, like I said, that's something we can talk about at the meeting today.
Brian Connor, Melissa can't make it, and Mark. So just three. Just YouTube going. Okay.
Parked the car right there.
I mean, it was one of the best spots they could have parked to. And that's everyone was just like, you know, the person hitting, they're like, oh my God.
All right, here we go. We're recording. I call to order the Counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency special meeting on July 1st, 2026 at 9 a.m. I get a roll call, please, Ally.
Ian Bruno.
Here.
John Taplin.
Here.
Trisha Rogers. Here. Kevin Mahoney.
Here.
Connor McCoy.
Here.
Charlie Tall.
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 7 out of 10.
Great. Before we move to report of committees, we'll turn it over to our CEO to provide some good news to the team.
Okay, so happy July 1st. The good news is after a little prodding, we've received our $2 million payment from TDI for the CHP project. So that, of course, puts our balance sheet in a very strong position. We were expecting the payment, but TDI really wasn't focusing on it. So thank you, Kara, for poking the other attorney. And then we sent an invoice and received a check. Was it late last week?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. There's good news.
Very good. Good. So reminder that is going into the CDC account, separate from the IDA. So we owe this board, most priority is how do we start having that money, make money initially, and then bring some ideas to this board on what to do to start up the economic development engine that is our CDC. But one of the options that will be presented to the board, part of the slew of options is there is an option to send that money to the IDA to assist with some things we're going on with the IDA, but we don't have a mechanism to get that money back to the CDC. So that's a permanent decision that this board will have to make. So something that this board made a few years ago. There's new members, so we'll walk through that slowly as one of the options, but we will provide this board many options and look for the board to prioritize those options for us, and then we can get rolling with our CDC. Maybe one day we'll have more CDC meetings than IDAs. Who knows? All right, any questions on that payment? And since we're on CHPE, we are to fully update the board. We are substantially complete with that project. And we are looking, we just a few more details before we figure out exactly when the pilot payment and the community host benefit payments happen at the end of this year or early next year. So more information on that here over the next meeting or two.
Yeah, and Kara's kindly put together a fact sheet that will help us with the local municipalities. So we have that ready to go when they start pinging us. We have some that have already been pinging us, and we're expecting others to ping us fairly soon.
Shannon is the attorney that the IDA has handling the project with TDI. And so I reached out to her after she asked if you received the payment and asked her that we really want to confirm that commercial operation date before we circulate that memo out. So she was trying to track down to confirm that that is the information.
Yeah, we think it's May 20th, but we're not
yeah,
sure.
the only place we found that is on the interweb. So, well, we're just
And
trying.
that's a magic date because that's the trigger date
Yeah.
for when the payment starts, 6 months after that date. So we have to know that date.
All right, anybody have anything on that topic before we move forward? All right, moving on, reported committees, park chair, please.
Sure. Not much to report. Canal side pretty quiet. SMS rail continues to unload some cars there, but they have, when I was there a few days ago, they only had a couple of cars left to unload. Our Electric, they're there, not much there, and contractor has completed, as you're probably all aware, the new access road on the south off East Street. It's in good shape, and I think Mr. Holmes may have more to say about that. But other than that, in the airport, I don't know where they stand with.
Status quo. They're the one, Robert Sears, the tree business, they're dealing with the zoning officer in Kingsbury to get approval to put an outdoor chipping machine. And the Rotary folks are slowly dealing with the planning process. So that's really just no change there.
That's all I have.
Just a question for the lots that are fully wetland impacted with the Rotary folks. Is it time to just get a letter to the neighbors and see if they're willing to buy them to get it out of hands, or do we still want to give the Rotary folks more time?
Actually, I've informally talked with one neighbor and there's a little bit of interest, but there's more that needs to be vetted out.
Okay.
So
Right. Let it
I
keep
think
going.
with the Rotary folks, we can give them a chance, but they've been working on this for several months. So if we have another opportunity, I think we should maybe start initiating that.
Are we in month 9 for the Rotary now?
Yeah.
About month 9. Okay, I got it. All right. Good. All right. Anybody have any questions for the park chair? All right, moving on. Canal side project updates. Chuck.
Okay, so the main reason we're doing a special meeting today is to do the approval of the East Street water line replacement. On June 24th, we received 4 construction proposals with proposed costs of starting as high at 1.6 million. Then we received 2 for 1.3 million and the lowest at 1.1 million. Labella has evaluated the proposals and is recommending the lowest bidder, Keller and Sons, at $1,088,004. With us, we have Glenn Palmer from Labella. He's the one who composed the tabulation sheet, and then his coworker Paul signed this letter that we just received yesterday that Allie's pushed out as far as the recommendation of Keller and Sons. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ben to add any points or answer any questions about the proposal.
I would just like to add one thing there that you'll notice that it's subject to receipt of some of the outstanding items there. So I know the other day, I believe it was Monday, we received their MWB's forms and their request for a waiver. So that's honestly, that's the biggest item that they're missing so far, because I know that affects a lot of the funding aspects of things here. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Request for waiver. Talk us through that. And if this funding is getting reimbursed by Fast New York, do we have experience in that at all, or is this still, that whole program is still new to everybody?
It's personally new to me. I know Jessica Lurkey's from Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board was handling a lot of that stuff from her end. But from what I understand, the project goal had a 30% MWE percent goal. And if contractors were unable to reach that, they can request a waiver to meet that goal, which and to obtain that waiver, they basically have to show good faith efforts that they attempted to meet the effort.
And by the way, all 4 proposals, none of them had the WWIDA subcontractor. So it's not just one proposal, all 4 proposals did not.
They can show good faith by showing that they've advertised in
Interviewed.
newspapers, et cetera, all entities and that sort of thing. So that demonstrates the good faith effort to secure that aspect of the contract.
Can someone break down WMBE for me?
MBE,
Women,
Women
minority.
Minority
Gotcha.
Business
Thank you.
Enterprise.
Ben, I'd like to ask that you reach out to Jessica today, copy Ally and myself, and let's get going on the approval process for the waiver. Hopefully that's something that is a fairly straightforward process, but we're in a little bit of a holiday week, so it might take a week or 2 getting through that process. The other thing that we have with this project is with the CHPE project, with the new line that runs along the rail line, there's now requirements when you're proximity of that line, there's a certain permitting that may be required. So Ben LaBelle is looking into that. The nice thing about this project is we can literally start at the other end away from the railroad track. And that gives us plenty of time before we get to the railroad track. If there's any issue, we have to interact CHPE on. So we're going to have a meeting maybe as early today, as soon as possible, to vet this out. And these requirements from CHPE just came out within the past couple of weeks. So this is sort of a new situation for us that we will navigate accordingly.
Is that permit to be issued by them?
We're not, yes.
So
and we're
then
not sure if we trigger it or not, because we're not going underneath the railroad tracks. You know, we divide this project in phase 1 and in phase 2. Phase 2 will be underneath. We certainly have to engage them on that aspect. But going up the railroad track, we might not quite trigger the need to get a permit. So more to learn.
It's interesting if it's new. Who gave them the authority to grant, and who determined the
That's a great
proximity
legal
issue?
question. If you think about that line runs from Quebec to
Yeah.
New York City, so every municipality goes through these requirements
Right.
now in place.
And What's
Which,
going
I
to
mean,
happen in the underwater?
From the
project?
technical side, makes sense because you don't want someone to accidentally hit it
Right.
during construction. So there's a rhyme and reason, and obviously there's a lot to learn from our end on this. But I think we'd like to go forward with having the board approval to award the contract once we get these other issues vetted out.
So what are we doing today?
You need a motion?
Need a motion
Yeah.
to approve.
So, okay, so approving J. Keller and Sons Construction.
yep.
All right. With any questions for Chuck on the background? All right, with that, I would entertain.
Kevin, I think there's one.
I just had
Sorry.
one small question on the bid. I was reading it and it has a bid bond. Does that roll over to a performance bond right away?
I'll let Ben answer that question.
Bid bond law.
No, they'll submit that,
Separate.
a separate one, once they get the bid awarded to them, then they'll be able to get that, and that'll be part of their
I
contract.
didn't read
package.
anywhere where it said performance bond.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
It is in there?
It's in the
Okay.
contract document. So once they're awarded the bid, then they can go get that,
Yep.
and that'll be a contingency of the final contract with them.
All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to award the East Street Water Main Replacement Construction Project to WMJ Kellers and Sons Construction Corp. at a total bid price of $1,088,004.
But that'll be
Contingent,
subject to,
yeah.
or contingent on
Fulfilling.
submitting
With the contingency on
the rest of the required,
So did you say you did receive the rest of the required, or you're still waiting?
We are still waiting. Not to mention, we're waiting on ESD to issue the waiver.
Okay.
Yeah, so we gotta get the waiver and we have to check to see.
With the contingent of
Permit.
2 items, both the waiver and the WMBME items.
The
that's
WMBE
the
waiver
waiver.
and the CHPE work permit requirement, if required.
All the other requirements were met.
So we have two requirements that we're.
They're just
changing
missing
up,
some
correct?
simple forms they have to fill out, just basic signatures.
All right, let's try this again. I will entertain a motion to approve the East Street Water Main Replacement Project to WMJ Keller and Sons Construction Company Corporation at the total bid price of $1,088,004 with two contingencies, the CHPE work permit as well as a WMBE waiver
And that's phase one.
for phase one, correct. Charlie first. Second, Dan, or any questions first? So Charlie first, Dan second. No further
Discussion.
discussions? All right, with that, we'll do a roll call vote, please, Ellen.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
John Taplin,
Yes.
Trisha Rogers.
Yes.
Kevin Mahoney.
Yes.
Connor McCoy.
Yes.
Charlie Tall.
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion passes.
great, motion passed. Appreciate you, team. I'm just finishing 10 days with family galore in my house, so my ears are still ringing, it's still loud and I'm full. So appreciate you guys carrying me. All right,
Okay,
Chuck.
so thank you. Continuing on the phase two with the work anticipated under the railroad. One of the things that we need to do is put monitoring wells, and they have been installed, I believe, or I'd say they will be installed this week, right, Ben? July 20th, I have on my notes.
Yep, July 20th, and we're meeting with our drill team next week, I believe, July 6th, to really pinpoint the locations of those items.
And please make sure we are okay with the CHPE situation.
Yep.
I tend to think we're farther back, but let's just make sure we don't trigger anything there. Okay, thank you. And then one other thing we have in the water is the situation with the fire suppression system that will be necessary with the site for any development. Do you want to take that over?
Sure. So part of the due diligence of the current company that is looking to purchase the site is a fire suppression system for the big warehouse. The cost for that to get an actual price is about $30,000 of engineering in which they have contracted with Labella. One of the good faith items that, or good faith reasons of us looking at this is if they don't purchase that site, there's still we would like to be able to reimburse them for the cost of that, and then we take ownership of that fire suppression system engineering drawings for potentially for a future buyer. So we are very deep into due diligence, and so we're just trying to minimize their costs should this deal not work out. And so it's good faith attempt on our part is to looking at reimbursing the fire system. I did have the specs. Unfortunately, the specs does have the company's name all through it, so I don't have that available for the team to look at. But that was the cost with Labella. Good thing is we got a Labella rep here to answer any questions that may have.
The other thing I'll add is we know whoever's going to develop the site will have to put a fire suppression tank system on the site because the village water district doesn't have the pressure to be able to deal with the fire. So this work will be necessary no matter what. And so we're just seeking to say to this third party that if they don't go forward with buying the site, we'll reimburse them for the study, and then we'll own the study and they'll pass on to any future owner of the site.
Yes, sir.
Are there possibly any angles for grants on water safety if we need to get more water pressure? Maybe we can, I don't know, there seem to be a lot of water grants available.
Yeah, I mean,
Water quality, water safety,
it's sort of behind the whole vast New York
Fire
funding.
suppression.
right? But we need pressure primarily. That's,
Yeah.
so that's from the water.
Pressure
side.
and volume.
Yeah, so we're asking this just in good faith with the relationship we're building with this prospective buyer. They've asked us for this reimbursement if necessary. Hopefully it won't be necessary. But we would just like to have board approval to be able to do the reimbursement of $31,000 if for whatever reason this deal falls through.
This is just strictly the planning,
I'm sorry?
strictly the planning. You're talking about 30,000.
Yes, strictly the planning. The engineering for the running line, the tank, the pumps, sprinkler system in the existing building.
We have a guesstimate of what that's gonna cost. The planning is gonna allow us to have that exact dollar figure. And then based off of Whether those specific plans are scalable or not, the next, if should we have to buy them and next manufacturing company comes, at least they have a starting point that's more accurate than what we are now. That's
So this is just for the one building?
the main, yes, the primary.
But expandability to other buildings. So the tank needs to be sized to be able to go to additional.
But it depends on what is in there
In the building.
will determine the type and size of the fire suppression system.
The first pass cost estimate was $2.8 million. And so Labella is now fine tuning the estimate.
With the 30% contingency.
Yes.
Every time we mention
That,
that, I want to make sure we mention it.
$2.8 million is a very high contingency because there's unknowns. And this is what Labella is vetting out now so they can button down the unknowns and have a more precise cost estimate, which will be good for the prospective buyer and good for us to have with anybody else in the future if this current prospective buyer falls off from us.
30% is pretty high, very high.
Very high.
Yeah, but again, we know we need a fire suppression system on site.
Well, we think we do.
The design is good outside and inside for as used, as planned to be used. But if we have a new tenant or new buyer, how much of it, the cost of the 31,000 is for the inside part of the design? If we wanted to know.
It all depends on who the new buyer is. That's right. And I think Dan mentioned it best. As far as a good faith effort, it makes sense. Is that as a direct line for the next buyer is probably not going to be fully used. It's gonna at least give them a starting point, a more accurate starting point.
Got it.
Probably roughly in the range of, 40% inside, 60% out, exterior with the tank and all that. Pipe.
Just a little bit off topic here, but we're talking about tanks. Don't we have a canal running nearby?
Mhm.
We can't use
Seasonally.
Seasonal. They drain it.
drain it.
Yeah, that would be a nice solution.
Fund.
Well, yeah,
So
you
We-
still need pressure and volume. In other words, if you were to try to utilize the canal, even if it was year round, you may still require what we call a surge tank.
Pump system.
Because you have to have certain volume, 100,000, 200,000 gallons available for fire suppression. And if you expected that to be done just by a pump, you'd have a pretty big pump.
So the basic system is a water line to a new tank, building a foundation of the tank, the pump station of the tank, and then going to two existing buildings and have expandability to go to a third or fourth building.
Great. Anybody need any more background information? Kara, what's the proper way to do this? Just entertain a motion to approve reimbursement of the fire suppression system at a cost of $29,750? Or how do we want
Just the
to?
fire suppression system design.
Design. Yeah.
All right.
Or reimbursed by sale.
Oh, well, be reimbursed should they not purchase the site.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that just gives us the authority to go back to the prospective buyer and say, yes, the board has approved reimbursement. Hopefully we won't have to do it.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the reimbursement of the fire suppression system design at $29,750. Do I need to add more, Kara, or are we good with that? All right. Connor, second. Tricia, discussion. Roll call, please, Ally.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
John Taplin.
Yes.
Trisha Rogers. Yes. Kevin Mahoney,
Yes.
Connor McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Tall,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so moving on to the sewer system. As you know, we're looking to purchase the WCC land in which the existing water line runs and where the proposed sewer line will run. WCC has proposed selling lots to the IDA for $211,000. That's the assessed value at 100%. WCC asks that the sales agreement include access rights to the one remaining stranded lot with the railroad tracks. Kara has drafted the sales agreement and WCC has agreed to the agreement. One procedural thing that we need to do is do a quick property inspection, basic property inspection, not a phase one. This is former farmland and really has been untouched except for the water line that runs through it. We went out and received two proposals. one, and we're seeking board approval, one from Northeastern Environmental Geoscience, not to exceed $1,000 and 10 days to do the study. And then the second proposal from PS Property Solutions, the amount was $950, but they'll take 14 to 21 days. Since we'd like to move this forward as quickly as possible, we'd like to go with Northeastern Environmental Geoscience time and materials not to exceed $1,000 for board approval. And if we get the approval today, we'll initiate this today and hopefully have the property inspection before our next board meeting on July 20th. Mr. Bruno, if you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's a good choice, Northeastern Environmental. And as you said, that time is somewhat of the essence, and they're qualified and would be able to get done in a very timely manner.
Great, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the Northeastern Environmental Geoscience bid with a not to exceed cost of $1,000. On our second, Dan, discussion. Roll call, please, Alan.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
John Taplin,
Yes.
Trisha Rogers,
Yes.
Kevin Mahoney,
Yes.
Connor McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Tall,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Our next topic is the East Street entrance road modification. Mr. Bruno mentioned that Mr. Holmes has done final inspection. I'll turn it over to Mr. Holmes and he can explain where we are right now with the project.
We're basically substantially complete on the project. We've got good vegetative growth. That's always one of the last items that we look for when you're starting to look at your final payments. We have come up with one minor peculiarity on the project is we got a longitudinal crack along the very extreme edge of some of the asphalt. And I've asked,
It's on the west side.
on the west side. I've asked Keller to, just render an opinion on their part. I've got some thoughts on what might be going on, but I've been a little bit coy on telling Keller what I'm thinking on it. I want to hear what they have to say. But at the end of the day, I don't believe it's anything of significance. And I have mentioned to Chuck that they have submitted a payment application recommending of the payment and keeping the 5% retainage at this point.
That payment amount is $271,270. That's within the prior approval for releasing or agreeing to the original proposal to do the job. So based upon Mr. Holmes' recommendation, we'd like approval to go ahead and pay, and we'll retain the 5% to wrap up this one minor issue. I don't know if there are any questions for Bob or if we go ahead and do a motion.
So that was, we would motion to approve the payment of
$271,270. We will retain 5%.
Which amounts to 14,000 and change.
Keller and Sons, right?
Yep.
May I add, to pay this, we would need to transfer money from the ICS account to our checking account.
What was it, 100,000 you need?
Yes.
Are those two separate? So, do we need board approval to move the money?
I don't,
I hope not.
I don't think so.
I don't think,
because
I
we
think
approved
just a
that.
board acknowledgement.
Mhm.
So we have acknowledged the board that we would be transferring the $100,000 from the ICS to the check-in. And then for the motion, I will entertain a motion to approve the payment of $271,270 to WJ Keller and Sons for the back gate entrance project with 5% retainage held. Dan, second. Charlie, discussion. Roll call, please, Ally.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
John Taplin,
Yes.
Trisha Rogers,
Yes.
Kevin Mahoney,
Yes.
Connor McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Tall,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Continuing on with the Lock 8-Way Bridge Replacement Project. The Washington County Highway Department pre-construction meeting occurred on June 23rd. The construction company ING Civil will start site staging on July 15th. And the bridge and road is expected to be closed on July 20th. So that project is now beginning to roll.
Closed until roughly.
Up to 4 months. The contract the work has to be done within 120 days or it starts kicking into penalties. If weather cooperates, this is a fairly simple job. There's a good chance it'll be done well before 4 months. But to be conservative, we're saying 4 months to the public.
Hence the need for good access on the south end off East Street.
Yep. Okay, moving on, bringing seeker back. You might recall we did seeker for this project. We have to do an update. There are some minor project changes that have triggered the need to update our canal seeker. The specific changes are the rehabilitation of the street sewer line. Why we have to do a seeker for an existing line to maintain it is beyond me, but the rules are the rules. So that's the first trigger. And secondly, the WCC land acquisition, because we're using public money to buy property, that triggers seeker. Labella will be presenting minor changes to parts 2 and 3 at our July 20th board meeting. So Labella's preparing for it now. Just a heads up, we'll do a seeker modification on July 20th. And Ben, anything to add to that?
Our environmental team has sent drafts to Paul to review, so we're making good progress with that.
Okay, great, thank you. And then the last is Fast New York, and as mentioned, Ben mentioned Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board has submitted a grant modification request to ESD that's supposedly going to be approved at their board meeting in July. We're not expecting any problem with that modification. And that's just an FYI. Finally, moving on to site maintenance. Site mowing is underway, albeit a little slower than anticipated. Our maintenance person was ill for a week, and then there's been several periods of rain, and so that big, thick grass, it doesn't dry out very quickly. I talked with him this morning. He's going to get back at it this week while he can. During 4th of July, he'll be off with family, and then he's going to do a little bit mowing next week, and then we'll be cleaning it. So
we may want to take a look, excuse me, I'm just going to interject here. We may want to take a look at the economics of getting somebody in there just doing the stuff as opposed to using Everett part-time. And
yeah, I would agree with that, given the duration of the rental because of particularly bad weather. If we get a crew in there, they'll come in, they'll bring in 5 to 10 people and just do it real quickly.
Right.
Yeah, so
worth looking at.
We'll take a look at it offline.
So when you say the economics so we have Everett doing more than just mowing, right? Or
well, what do you consider? I mean, that's a good point. We want him. I want him to clear everything along the fences, along the edge of the roadway, in the park, so to speak, and the grass. And I mean, there's a lot there. I'm not, it's a lot for one person to do part-time. When I say the economics, I mean, when you look at, and I don't know, you'd have to look at it. When you look at what you're paying him to do it on a part-time basis and how long, what the duration of that is, as opposed to someone else coming in with as Chuck said, with a 4 or 5 person crew and just getting it done. Now, obviously that's going to cost more than Everett, but when you again factor in the duration of his services versus a one-shot crew for a week or whatever it is, I just think it's maybe, yeah, right.
Yeah, the skid steer is $1,000 a week, and we've had it for at least now 3 or 4 weeks, so it's a little bit more than anticipated. We've gotten bids to do mowing, vegetation removal in the past, and it's been $20,000–$30,000. So maybe one thing we'll do is we'll go out and get an updated proposal to have that compare for our activity at the end of the summer that we know we'll have to do.
When you talk about weather and rain, most companies, that doesn't affect them unless it's really heavy rain. They'll be out there working, they'll get it done no matter what. So
more to come.
Next time we look at this, is that the summer though? I believe.
No, we'll do late summer, early fall.
Okay.
So
we've determined what we're doing this year completely with the equipment rental. Are we now possibly suggesting not doing the second round?
Before you joined the board, we were actually looking to buy a mower.
I remember.
about $40,000. And we decided, since we might be selling the site soon, why buy it and then have disposal of the unit? Let's go ahead and do the rental to skid steer and have Everett do work. He does the mowing, he does snow removal, and he does vegetation removal, little trees that he goes after. So we keep him busy, but it is difficult, as Mr. Bruno said, for one person to do all the work and also navigating the weather.
We're committed for this year, the investigation.
We're
we need to do.
committed for the first half of the summer, but we can change our game plan to Mr. Bruno's point of looking at alternative solutions.
And the great,
Well, when you say committed, we're not committed to anybody. I mean, we rent that piece of equipment on a weekly basis.
Right.
We want to get rid of it, we can get rid of it.
Okay.
We have no contract with Everett, and nothing against him, I like the guy, but we have no contract with him. In other words, we could curtail this at any point
Okay.
that we choose.
I just remember we passed the approval to rent the equipment 2 times, and that's just our.
You're right,
So
we did.
We are free to
Right.
do whatever we think is
But if
best.
we have a better solution, the other solution is there might be opportunity to hire another person. And so you have 2 people working on skid steer and it will be done faster. Because that's one of the issues, the availability of Everett. So
If the bids are
we'll look
20
at-
grand, it might make sense to do something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the bid will determine that
Yeah,
route.
exactly.
but the good news is now we have accurate data for January to July with his expenses and the rentals and the reimbursement. So now we have more data to be able to compare what we want to do in the future. So we're in a good spot to provide this board more accurate data on the fall pathway ahead.
Okay, thank you. I believe that is it, unless there are any further questions.
All right, with no other questions, we'll move on to new business, office building insurance premiums. Chuck Corelli, which one do you want to take that?
Dell, you have that one?
Sure. Okay, so our annual premium came up for the Michigan Millers policy. This is, basically just for our office insurance and, it did increase. Does it say what? Last year it was 1863. It's up to 2036 for the year. And, we are looking for approval to renew that annual fee for this insurance.
It's on page 46 of the read ahead. All right, with no question from Ally, I will entertain a motion to approve the 26-27 insurance for the Michigan Millers policy on our office building and commercial property, as well as commercial general liability and commercial umbrella.
Sorry to make you probably repeat that, but can you explain the very bottom line there? The renewal premium will be lowered once the endorsement removing locations 2 and 3 is processed. Is that just?
Because the 2 and 3 aren't listed there. You just see location 1. and
Right.
bid.
So originally they had, Towpath Road, they had, the buildings on the Canal Side Energy Park on there, which obviously we don't need because Central Insurance covers that. So that will be removed from the policy. And, I haven't received a new premium, so I don't know what that is. So what we can do for this, instead of paying the total, $2 grand, we can break it up into 2 payments. And when the new insurance premium comes in, it would just be deducted, the credit would be deducted from the second payment.
Yeah.
But I don't have that number right now,
Gotcha.
but it'll be lower than what would be approved today.
Looking for a first on that motion. Connor, second. Dan, discussion. Roll call vote, please, Ally.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
John Taplin,
Yes.
Trisha Rogers.
Yes.
Kevin Mahoney.
Yes.
Connor McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Tall,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. So next topic is office hours. The current office ID 8 hours is from 9 to 1400, 2 p.m. The challenge with that is that we've actually, Ally's only worked that timeframe once since 2024. So we're either running a 0.01% accuracy rate or a 99.9%, depending on how you want to look at it. So what we want to do for this board is just to make our office hours more accurate of what we're actually doing, 9 to 3. And with the CHPE payments coming up, there will be no slowdown at all as we continue to try to work in those action items into our daily routine. So what I'm looking for is approval of the board to make our official hours, which will change on the website and a few other places, from 9 to 3 p.m.
Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday. Yeah. First, Tricia. Second, Charlie. Discussion. Do I need a roll call vote for that? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion carries. Great. Can I have you step out real quick, Ally? For me?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about, we would need to vote on the policy change. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. The recording. Let me just pause it. Cause you.
No, keep the recording on. No, it has to be part of the
Okay.
general
well,
discussion.
I did the minutes.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
At that point, it's already locked in, so that, yeah.
This isn't executive session?
No, this is just our PTO, personal time off policy. Because of that change, Ally, and what Ally's actually been working, we are looking to, settle up with Ally on her actual PTO policy, PTO, hours, vice, what she has been receiving, which will be, when we did the math a couple of weeks ago, it was about eight extra hours to settle up for the remainder of the year. So, that is what we're looking for. Our personal time off policy is on the website. And, so we are just looking for, 1 second. So the way we would do this, Carrie, is just approve retroactively Ellie's PTO for the year to coincide with the hours worked.
Yeah, so you're gonna do two different motions
Okay.
then, right? You're gonna do a resolution to adjust her PTO specifically. And then you're gonna do, are you amending, you're amending the resolution or the policy altogether, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to do two separate action items, one as it applies to Ally specifically.
And the amendment of the policy is to be adopted based off of the new working hours, or do I have to go more specific than that?
Well, I mean, I think we should modify the language so it's very clear as to how, because there is no mechanism of how it's calculated.
Right.
I mean, there was a calculation that was done when that was originally put together, but if you want to address the calculation, I think we should incorporate that in there so you don't have this next time.
Right.
So it shows the formula that's used to calculate the PTO as opposed to just list it. Because like I said, when we looked at it, if you had an employee that worked 5 hours a week, they would still be eligible for the same PTO because the formula isn't set out in the policy. I don't know what
So
the policy.
do we have a formula that we use? We just have not published it or acknowledged? it?
Yeah, let me see
Why don't
if
we
I can.
just-
It's personal time off is established at 130 hours annually for full-time employees and 65 hours annually for part-time employees.
Right, but then it
It
doesn't
doesn't
define what a
define.
part-time employee is, so it could be anyone if you work 10 hours a week or if you work. The formula needs to be added into that policy. I'm trying to find where I sent you that message, see what.
So should we do the one resolution and then get the new formula and approve it the next time?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Let me do that. That way we can we can have the PTO policy redlined as it's gonna show in the future. So that's a good point. I have it here, Kara. I'm looking at it and you're right. We're gonna have to, let's do it that way. Good call, Charlie. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjust Ally's PTO for the hours she has worked for the year. Tricia, second. John, do I need a roll call for that?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion carries, and I will bring to the board in 2 weeks the amended PTO policy with the new formula for mid-July's meeting. Thank you, Chairman. Now, sadly, she has to come back.
Where'd she go?
She left last.
She's taking her
Her car's
time
not in
off.
the parking
Her
lot.
extra time off is gone right now.
costs down below.
That time in there counts as paid time off.
All right, moving on, native development, Chuck.
Okay, we have an interesting discussion for you all. If everyone could take one and pass it along. And I got it the other way too, so it's coming from both directions. You'll see an aerial. We'll start with the aerial. This is for board discussion. This is a new opportunity for us. And Juan and I thought it'd be smart to update the board and get an opinion on whether or not we want to move into some new territory with our incentive endeavors. So to look at the aerial, this in the middle, the square in the middle is the Native Development Industrial Park, which is run by Steve Springer and Tim Barber. You've met them a couple times. They actually are the company in the aerial, that first building here is a 25,000 foot building they built with our incentives. Remember, they had a hoof treatment company for California that backed out, and they ended up getting a cannabis company there called Capital Region Company, and it's doing very well. They're up to like 45 employees, so they're going gangbusters. We also recently approved the $40,000 or 40,000 square foot expansion that's just above the 25,000 square foot building, and this is where Nipsey is moving into. And to the right, Angio and Sheet Labels are in those buildings. So there's 4 tenants on site. Also, as a reminder, we actually in this building also show neighboring FWWIDA building. And this is a project that Steve and Tim facilitated as far as buying the property, doing the planning board approval for FWWIDA, and then turning the property over for them to do the construction. So what's happening is you look back on the aerial, the property left, I believe you can see a bulldozer or mobile equipment there. So what Steve and Tim would like to do is build a building on speculation without having a tenant. And that building specifically, if you go to your second handout, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, an image of the building in that corner. They ultimately want to do 80,000 square foot building, but they'd like to start with a 40,000 square foot building that would be flexible to reduce to 20,000 square foot spaces if necessary. Or if they find somebody interested in 80, they would then quickly do an addition onto the 40. And what they're asking is, will we, the IDA, be willing to do an incentive project based on speculation, not having tenant? Now, Native Development in the application would still have to commit to a certain number of jobs, and they're aware there's a clawback provision. So if they don't get a tenant, say within 2 years, then there'd be a clawback provision. So any pilot savings they've incurred, they have to pay back. But they are very confident in the market. They're finding right now that companies are coming to looking at their site, but because it's not built, they're going to other sites where the building's already built, particularly down in Saratoga. So they feel as if to be more competitive, they'd like to go ahead and start investing without having a tenant nailed down. Our opinion, Juan and I have talked about this. We are comfortable with this because we do have a private investor looking to put money into our area, which will then promote further economic activity, and they're willing to take the risks associated with committing to the base of 10 jobs and a clawback provision kicking into force if they end up not renting this building. We have no reason to think they would not rent this building. But this would be new for us to do an incentive project without a specific employer identified. So with that, I don't know, Juan, anything to add to that?
The history that we have with this group is extremely positive, and they know what they're doing. So, but I would just, Karen, if I may, just that, on speculation is we want to make sure that we give the board the full good pros and cons of what we're thinking of doing here to be able to make sure that they have all the story, the entire version. If any of your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I mean, we can go through the process of approving the incentives for the construction and their financing, et cetera. we know that the area is zoned for the light industrial and that's what they're targeting. So, if for whatever reason, that's not what went in there and instead they decide to fill it with something that's not eligible, then there would be this clawback provision. So, that would be the one risk to the IDA is if that there was a clawback, when the actual tenant comes in or the tenant didn't come in, it would be, that much more difficult to get the incentives back after they've already received them, because arguably they would have already received the sales tax exemption and the mortgage recording tax exemption before they have a tenant in place.
And to give you all specific numbers, would that be helpful? Is there a question? Sorry.
Yeah, I have a question. Regarding the clawback, have you had experience with that? What are the ramifications of enforcing that?
The issue is that if there is a significant clawback provision that you're looking to get, it's a breach of contract action. So if the company is not willing to put up the money or doesn't have the money available, you essentially have to sue them in order to get those funds back. So, it is difficult. It's how much money are you going to spend to get that money back? Do you just, you have an obligation under state law to try to take efforts to recapture the sales tax as the mortgage recording tax. The law doesn't require that. But, they're saying they need the incentives to do the project itself. So it's unlikely that they have this money available. I suppose you could ask them to have this money in escrow. If
Short of escrow is I'm just spaghetti here on the wall, performance bonds of the amount of the callback to have them carry that for the duration of the 2 years, or I'm mixing processes here, but I'm curious if we could find a way to.
I don't know that an insurance underwriter would insure that, you know what I mean? Because it's so speculative. I can't imagine that they would say, okay, we'll give you insurance for this. You've got to find a company, you've got to, it's not like, my guess is no.
I mean, it's not a substantial amount.
And then you still have to sue under a performance bond. Even if that was a possibility, you still have to sue under those to get it. And those aren't necessarily, it's not like you just get that money. That's also a difficult, expensive process.
And by the way, we don't have to make a decision today. We can think about this and we can explore other areas if the board would like us to. If it's a flat no, then we can just stop the process right now and go back to native development and let them know. But if there's something here that people are feeling comfortable for us to explore, then we can continue to explore.
Kevin,
Just take the name native development off the table. What if somebody came to us and said, I want to do this? Would we feel as comfortable giving that person? We're sort of setting a precedent that we're going to give speculation.
exactly.
Well,
Sales
you're
tax.
right. And part of it's the track record these
Track
guys
record,
have. So someone we didn't know come and didn't have a track record, we'd probably be a little bit less inclined.
Track record
Well,
with us or a track record in
With-
general?
With the general person. I mean, to Kevin's point, these guys have, and Dewan also, these guys have a great track record. We think they'll continue doing what they are doing. We're lucky to have them in our area. But if someone new came from New York City and we had no idea who the entity was, we probably would be less inclined because there's no track record.
But then we're setting a precedent that we.
Right, there is
This
some
is
risk
what
in
we
taking
do.
that
No,
position
I-
as well.
We do.
I
feel uncomfortable
understand,
setting
yeah.
a precedent.
Yep.
I mean, can't they come up with some other package? I mean, they're just saying, we're gonna build a building. They're not gonna take ownership of it. They're not gonna take anything.
No, they own the building. So let me give you some specific. That project, the diagram I handed out, that's $5.9 million project. The benefit for property tax payments over 10 years would be $515,000. The first year would be $67,000, and that would be the savings every year for the first 5 years. It qualifies for 100% off because it's a manufacturing-based project. Then the sales and use tax benefit would be rounding 150,000. The mortgage tax benefit rounding would be 44,000. Gross benefit would be about 700.
Let me stop you for a second. You say it's a manufacturing-based project.
They have to get a manufacturing tenant. That's the Kara's point. If they don't get a manufacturing tenant, then it kicks down to a different pilot. So there would be more of a clawback again.
I mean, my recommendation would be if you're going forward with something like this, that the pilot doesn't even, they pay actual taxes until the tenant is there.
And
But because to your point, it's very difficult to get the money back out. I mean, it's gonna be a lawsuit to get the money if you undertake a recapture action. So, to start the pilot would be even adding to
Sure.
that amount.
So what are the totals without the pilot?
The sales tax and mortgage tax together round to about just shy of $200,000.
So the question for this board is that risk worth another building with jobs and potential manufacturing jobs to our area?
And the other thing too, I'll just throw out there, if we'd like to have Steve and Tim come talk to us at our next board meeting about this opportunity, we can.
Again, to me, it's not that, it's not it at all. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, it's a policy we're setting forth and that we will follow in the future, question mark. And putting us in a position where we have extra steps that you're talking about. And then if any of this happens and it doesn't go, it makes us kind of look silly as a board, in my mind anyways. That
Yeah.
we're not being responsible with the government's money. It's the people's money.
Well, part of it is trusting these investors to find a tenant.
And also they're trusting who appointed us is trusting us to be a responsible
steward.
Agreed, and maybe to Kara's point, maybe we put the provision in so they don't receive any of the pilot benefit. It's the only thing that we're going after right now is the sales tax and mortgage tax benefit, which we could recoup that too if we needed to. Could we not?
That's another step.
Another suit as well.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
step.
I mean, that all costs money.
The only way to get to recapture is if the company is gracious and willing to repay it, or if you sue them for a breach of contract action.
So how separate, different is this recapture than any other incentive program we've done? I just want to separate.
It's no different.
There's no different. Okay,
It's no
so
different, except in this
the
case,
risk percentage.
All speculation.
the company is not there.
Right.
In
That's
all
the
the
core.
other cases, there's a company, there's a
They have a tenant.
So
tenant or a company.
with the pilot, the total benefit, or what's the pilot amount? It was 700 or 500?
710.
And what's the total tax levy of Warren County?
I'm sorry, no, I misspoke. I'm sorry. 710 is all three benefits.
70 million?
The property is 516.
So it's basically 1% of your levy. And putting it in that kind of context and just that it's speculative is a red flag if we can't get insurance for performance bonds. Makes me wonder, yes, we might like these guys, but why do they necessarily need that to do the project?
They want to just be, when someone knocks on their door, they'd like to have the building ready to go. And people have knocked on the door and gone to other places because the building was already there. So they're feeling as if they could do a better job going after the market if they have an existing building. And they're not proposing to build the full 80,000. They just like to build half of it.
I get it. I mean, I would, if they're doing well, that's reinvestment into our business and our county without the need for help. They should be able to, if we helped them before, they're coming for another bite at the apple and they're getting a lower cost of entry and a higher ROI when they're already doing well.
Yeah, no, we could easily say no.
I'm not saying we have to say no. I just think,
Yeah, and again,
Careful consideration.
they're asking us, and I said, listen, before we go forward with an application, let us talk with the board, hence what we're doing today. And again, we don't have to make a decision. We can ponder it. We can have them come in if we want, or we can just quickly say no and move on. So it's really at the pleasure of the board.
I'd like to think about it more and have more discussion.
Within just the board, or would you like the
Just within the board. I think it's an issue of principle that where we do and don't extend our benefits to. And to the extent that it's everybody in Warren County and the bordering counties.
Okay.
we can have another discussion at the mid-July board meeting with answer some of the questions, or at least provide more perspective on some of these other questions. And then from that point, we can look to see if we want to bring the customer in or consider the application or close it up completely.
Have we looked at other IDAs? Do they also do spec
Yes,
development?
they do. It varies. The Saratoga IDA has done one or two of these. Matter of fact, that's the reason Steve and Tim came to us, because said, hey, your neighboring IDA had done this, but not all IDAs do this. It is by IDA. So it varies. And I don't know, with Fulton County, do you know if they
Have not done.
have not done?
But they have had a significant recapture situation.
Issue. This-
Not because of a speculation project, but you asked if I'd ever been involved in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And at Glens Falls IDA, I'm not sure if they've done any speculation.
not to my
Yeah,
knowledge.
so it
No.
really does vary.
It's great, and, you know, the concern is that if our neighbors are doing it and they're succeeding, they're gonna stay 2 steps ahead of us every time. And so, but we've got a lot of data here to bring back to the board. This is fascinating. Thank you. I will continue to, we'll put some pages together for the board to consider based off of your questions, and then we can, have a continued conversation if the board wants, or if we can
One of the
continue
things
it
that I
here.
would ask, somebody was gonna ask native development, which I don't want to bring them into this. I want this to be a policy thing.
Okay.
But if we go far enough to ask them about that, they've had, you said 3 people interested that went to Saratoga because of empty buildings.
They have lost people knocked on their door because the building was free.
Plus, I wanna know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I
Show me,
think
tell me.
we can invite them in to
Or do you
bring,
just
I'd rather
submit
have
a,
that.
just, you
ahead
just
of
want
time.
that me to ask a question and pass it along.
See, my problem is applications like that, I know those guys, you know, they're really good parents, you know, I know everything. And it's difficult for me to say something like that, but as a policy, I don't feel comfortable with it. But native development, they've done a good job, they're nice kids, you know, they're okay, nice kids.
Yeah, I get you.
Silly. They're nice people.
I guess can we also find out how Saratoga handled it, just to have something to compare it to?
That'd be good.
IDAs with speculative, got that on the list. Yeah.
And also we can, Kara's point about not extending the pilot benefit until they get a tenant. We like that idea.
Yes.
I mean, plus there's other ways of
Availability.
doing this, can't they be like shovel ready or pad down, you know? Not build the building, just, you know, are there steps to this?
Good point.
Yeah, they've done the site work as far as clearing and put the infrastructure in, but the next step is a parking lot and a foundation, and those are specific to the building you want to build.
But it's specific to the building.
Right.
And it's not specific to the customer.
Right, that they could do that in speculation and then come to us, maybe it'll be a step or two ahead, but then come back to us, like, once they have the tenant, go, I mean, again, it's,
Again, separate from native development policy.
yeah, okay,
So, but if we offered the incentive, they'd start right away.
yes. We'd actually see an application very soon, and they would start construction in the fall.
Maybe in the fall.
I'm assuming utilities are on site, they just need to be extended to that area.
Well, part of it too is, you know, Tim Barber, partner in this is Jag, so he has the construction firm. So he would put his crew on building the building. Matter of fact, he built all these other buildings here, including WWIDA. So they would be ready to go in the fall.
Fascinating.
Okay.
What's happening to the old FW Web that I drove by this morning? I forgot.
They are, listing it. I think they've hired CBRE. I think they have people interested in the property, but we don't know who it
Because
is.
there's no sign on it yet. There's still a couple of pieces
Yeah, I
out there.
think Craig Darby is taking care of that property.
There's another big parcel for sale.
Right
Current,
next to 63
Both.
acres on the, oh, Bosse's, yeah.
that's huge. So my point there is, that's competition for anything else, you know.
Yes.
Some of my bosses.
Redevelop it.
So, well, where is our limit on redeveloping? If we had a big piece of land, can we put up warehouses like that and then profit from it?
Sure.
As long as the utilities are right there, I would love that idea, but as we're seeing with Canal Side, if the utilities are not right there.
Well, we can take a spec into our own heart a little bit if we had a big enough budget, if we had
You
money.
like that idea?
I'm not saying we should do that,
Right.
but But you've got this big thing on BOCES and
Well, both, I think, what we understand is that that building will not be, for sale until the other one's actually built, so that's.
It's for sale now.
Is it for sale now?
Oh, yeah, there's a sign right out front, been there for,
Or they,
Photos and everything, yeah. posted.
3.4 million?
Yeah, I think it was last, I want to say, I don't know. I haven't looked at it in depth, but I have people send it to me. So
Send that to me, let me see it.
I know exactly someone who sent it to me, so I'll send it to you right now.
But yes, there is opportunities for us to buy and build with,
their,
balance sheet.
their new site is well along, and I think it'll be ready for occupancy, maybe in September, October.
Oh, this year?
Hmm.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're flying, they're flying, good. All right,
Okay, well, thank you for the feedback on the native development. We'll work on some issues and get back. So thank you. And anything that pops in your mind, feel free to send an email, call. Love to hear the feedback.
great. All right, with that, the only update I have for new business is the creative economy study is starting. This board will receive an update monthly at the monthly board meeting on progress and what's coming up in the next 30 days. So you'll see that battle rhythm starting. So anytime that the board wants to bring in the team that's working on that for a further update, we will provide that to the board. Does anybody have any other new business? All right, any comments, any public comments? Right, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn. Kevin, second, Connor, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.